which is the Moon Camp residential subdivision. This project includes a general plan amendment to change the land use designation on 62.43 acres from the Bear Valley Rural Living 40-acre district to the Bear Valley single residential with 20,000 square foot minimum land use zoning district, and also includes tentative tract map 16136 for a 50-lot subdivision with residential lots ranging from 20,000 square feet to 2.7 acres with an average lot size of 39,000 square feet. There's a EIR that was prepared for this project, so the project also includes a CEQA action to certify the final environmental impact report. The project site is located on the north side of Big Bear Lake and north of Highway 38 in the Big Bear Fawn Skin community. The existing zoning of the site is rural living with 1 dwelling unit per 40 acres. In the Bear Valley, and this is considered a holding zone in the Bear Valley Community Plan. And that means that it's provided for the consideration of future development based on demonstrated ability to provide infrastructure and maintain consistency with the community plan. The current proposal is for single residential zoning with 20,000 square foot minimum lots. This slide shows several site photos looking southerly from the State Route 38 across the project site. Views of the project site from Oriole Lane, located to the west of the project site, and looking southwesterly from State Route 38 across the lake. This project does have a lengthy history and has undergone significant changes over the years. This slide depicts the 2004 proposal, which included 92 residential lots. With the current proposal before you today, which is a subdivision for 50 residential lots. Some of the key changes from the project design. That first map that you saw, which was the 92 lot proposal, included minimum lot sizes of 7,200 square feet. It included a realignment of North Shore Drive, which is also State Route 38, and 31 lakefront lots. Starting in 2010, when the project started undergoing changes, it reduced the number of lots from 92 to 50, increased the minimum lot size from 7,200 square feet to 20,000 square feet, eliminated the realignment of North Shore Drive, and eliminated all of the lakefront lots. There was also the addition of open space, marina parking, and neighborhood lake access. Some other key features of the site: on-site and off-site conservation areas are being established to protect biological resources, including a 5.3 acre on-site conservation easement for ashy gray Indian paintbrush. A 3.72 acre shoreline habitat conservation easement will be established, and a 10 acre pebble plain conservation area established off-site. Also includes conservation of eagle perch trees on undeveloped shoreline areas, and the long-term management plan for the bald eagle and rare plant habitat was prepared. And these features for the conservation are going to be depicted on the next several slides. So this is the proposed conservation area for the ashy gray Indian paintbrush, and then the shoreline habitat conservation easement here in green. The Sugarloaf Pebble Plain conservation area, as mentioned, is off-site. You'll see in the inset up here where the project site's located in relationship to this off-site area. The yellow boundary is the project area, and the eagle perch trees are shown here along the southern boundary. An environmental impact report has been prepared for the project, and concludes that with implementation of recommended mitigation, all environmental impacts of the project will be less than significant, with the possible exception of impacts to the bald eagle. A statement of overriding considerations is proposed to document public benefits of the projects that offset the adverse impact to the bald eagle, which includes major improvements to the Fawnskin water system to provide a new water source, backup power generator, improved flow pressure, and fire hydrants for fire protection, habitat conservation easements protected by a long-term management plan and endowment, protection of the shoreline in perpetuity for scenic views from Shoreline Drive, neighborhood lake access, and use by bald eagles, and a Class 2 bike lane on Shoreline Drive consistent with the Big Bear Bike and Trail Master Plan. Planning Commission held a public hearing on October 4th, 2018. PC recommended certification of the EIR and approval of the project by a vote of 3-2, with Commissioners Allard and Smith opposed to the project. Opposing votes were based on concerns regarding impacts to the bald eagle. Because of those opposition statements, the applicant proceeded to do additional study and evaluation of eagle perch trees and preparation of habitat management plans pursuant to mitigation monitoring program. This would have been something that would have been required prior to development, and they've done it ahead of that. And project plans, as reviewed by the Planning Commission, remain unchanged in what's before you today. We are also aware of the significant amount of correspondence that has been received by the clerk and by the board relative to this project, particularly in the last week. So we did provide a recommended change to one of the mitigation measures that I believe is before you today. And the red line changes would essentially strengthen the mitigation, and words like minimize, limit, prioritize would be changed to prohibit and require to make it even more strengthened of a mitigation measure. So that would be before you as part of the recommendation to include this updated language. And in addition, this language is in the conditions of approval and the mitigation monitoring program, so that language would be reflected there as well. With that addition, it is the recommendation that the Board of Supervisors conduct a public hearing for the Moon Camp Development Project, which includes the General Plan Amendment and tentative track map 16136 in the community of Big Bear Fawnskin, and declare an intent to certify the environmental impact report, adopt the CEQA findings of fact and statement of overriding considerations, adopt the mitigation monitoring and reporting program, adopt the recommended findings for approval for the General Plan Amendment and for the track map, adopt the General Plan Amendment from rural living 40-acre minimum lots to single residential 20,000 square foot minimum lots, approve tentative track map 16136, subject to the recommended conditions of approval, direct the clerk of the board to file a notice of determination and continue the item for final action with the second cycle general plan land use element amendment for 2020. And the applicant is present today and does have a presentation that they'd like to give to the board as well.
Thank you, Heidi. Okay, so this is what we're going to do today. First of all, I want to thank everyone for being patient. It's been a long day, and I know we've been waiting for this item for a while. We have a few people here that would like to speak. We also have all received lots of emails, and currently some new ones today. So I'm going to take the request to speak right now. Then I'm going to break for just a short period of time. So we, as a supervisor, can look at the new documents we got in just now. We'll bring it back for discussion and questions, and then we'll finish this item that way. So first one up is Mary Gilberman. Went up, and after Mary, we're going to have Nicholas Bartlett. No, ma'am, we're taking you. You've been sitting here long enough with us, so.
The north shore of Big Bear Lake is a jewel and it's irreplaceable. For anyone to alter this with a subdivision is unthinkable to me and many, many others. There are no mitigations that can begin to undo the harm that will be done by building the Moon Camp development. The bald eagle nest in Big Bear Valley is known and loved all around the world. The proposed Moon Camp development will have a significant detrimental impact on bald eagles in the Big Bear Valley. I'm an elementary school special ed teacher, and I stream the nesting class for my second grade students. Resident Big Bear Valley bald eagles, Jackie, Shadow, and their eaglet Simba have captured the hearts of my classes. The first essay my students write, and when I say first, the first ever in all their school life, is on bald eagles because of the children's great interest in this nest and love for its eagle inhabitants. All of my students have difficulty communicating, yet parents tell me they come home talking about eagles. This is the first and only bald eagle nest in Big Bear Valley history. The proposed Moon Camp development threatens the eagle's shoreline habitat, nesting area, and foraging grounds. The environmental impact report states that the current Moon Camp project will have significant detrimental impacts on bald eagles, a California endangered species that cannot be mitigated or lessened. Additionally, the significance of eagles staying year-round only a half mile, the eagles and their chicks, only a half mile from the proposed development site, has never been fully studied or analyzed. Thousands of people who visit Big Bear to enjoy nature and see the eagle nesting area in person, and thousands more who view the local eagles via live nest cam will be negatively impacted by the proposed development. Based solely on bald eagles, the project is clearly detrimental to the public interest. Please deny the proposed Moon Camp development in Fawnskin. In addition to affecting bald eagles, approving the proposed Moon Camp development would be detrimental to the public interest in other ways. The project is in a high fire risk area and a zone change to increase.
That's time.
Wow, okay.
Thank you very much. Reverend Nicholas Barrett. Then Sandy Steers is next.
Good afternoon. I just want to trusting God and bald eagles, which is a symbol of liberty. We're now at a precipice as a nation, actually as a world. We're facing a pandemic. We had one of those visitors in 2008 with the swine flu. We have another one in 2020, and that may have come from a ferret or not. But either way, every time you build a home, you deforestize. Big Bear is a jewel. It's a jewel. It's a national symbol. It's actually a gift from God to us to enjoy. And now at this moment in time when the world is struggling, aptly named, we have a company called Moon Camp. Maybe they don't trust in the earth, but they trust in the moon. But it's a unique ecosystem. They're trying to change the zoning permits from rural to residential. At the moment, rural, because it is rural, it's a national forest. It permits 1.5 homes, 1.5 homes. With the new residential thing, it will actually increase that to 50 homes. 50 homes are for sale. And the overriding circumstance, they claim, is there are not enough homes. There are actually 500 homes for sale. Maybe if we change our perspective and we see what we have differently, we'll value what we have. But where do we go from this? I've seen 13.5 million views on the Nest Cam. I was attracted to that Nest Cam because eagles are mentioned 28 times in the Bible. I figured if God mentions it, I should pay attention to it. Maybe he's put us at a quarantine to stop us so we can change our perspective and value the jewels we have. Worldwide, land is getting raped and pillaged for the gain of money. Selfish gain makes money, but the long-term pain for culture is immeasurable. What are we going to pass on to our children and our children's children? This nest is about half a mile away from the proposed site. I've had 20 homes built near mine. They're talking of 50 homes. 50 homes, a marina, a shopping center, and all of those things to cater really to what would turn into a Miami Beach. We don't need Miami Beach. We need Big Bear. We need people in times of pandemics to go and rest their minds, to take their children, to see what the quality, to see what life really is about. It's about helping people. It's about seeing what we have. If we strip land anymore, there'll be nowhere left to run, nowhere left to quarantine, nowhere left to relax. And I'm appealing really to our heart. Do we focus on short-term gain? A camera's had 14 million views. I've seen people from Calcutta to Chicago, Australia to Austin. I've seen people from Nairobi to Sao Paulo. I've seen them all over the world on that cam, looking at these eagles, looking at an American symbol of liberty, of free land, of parks, of space, of recreation. That's what freedom is all about. What are we going to trust in? Are we trusting in God, as the placard says behind, or are we trusting in money? We can't buy our way out of a virus. We can't buy a vaccine, but we can't buy peace, and that's what this gives us. It's a treasure to American people, a treasure to the world. I appeal to all our hearts today.
Thank you, sir, for your comments. Sandy Steers?
I believe Sandy spoke. No, I'm sorry. Never mind.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the chance to speak. I represent Friends of Big Bear Valley with over 2,400 members and over 98,000 active followers. Fawnskin is a small rural community set inside a national forest. It is quiet enough to hear the birds and coyotes and the crickets. It is dark enough to see the beauty of the night skies. It hosts the first and only bald eagle nest in Big Bear Valley. And the open forested lakefront site of this proposed project hosts over 17 acres of rare habitat and endangered plants that exist only in Big Bear Valley, nowhere else in the world. All of this is irreplaceable. Those nesting bald eagles, Jackie and Shadow, as you've heard, are famous. This legendary pair are touching and educating hundreds of thousands of men, women, and children, school children across the country and around the world. They've had over 4.5 million viewers in the past year alone, bringing appreciation and respect for the beauty of our valley, of this county, from around the world, from 49 different countries. They bring awareness, knowledge, and deep inspiration and appreciation to multitudes. They bring many visitors to our valley, to the mountains, to enjoy that beauty. The approval of this project would destroy the quiet, destroy the dark skies, destroy 70% of the irreplaceable plant habitat. And it would make it harder and impossible for those bald eagles to support their chicks from having to forage farther away, and they would likely move on. It would put all of that nature and every resident, your constituents, and every visitor in immense danger with much higher fire risk in an area already difficult to evacuate without loss of life. It would destroy a way of life, a quality of life not available anywhere else in the world. All of that for the sake of a few houses. The choice is yours. What would you like to tell your children that you chose? Please vote no on this proposed zone change and development project. It has not been appropriately studied. It's unneeded, and it would be a disservice to the public. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Terry Ashmore, and then Peter Tennyson.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity for me to speak regarding the proposed Moon Camp development today. Originally, I had laid out all my talking points for my speech today. Then I received an email directed to Friends of Big Bear Valley from Mandy down in North San Diego County. She wrote of her opposition to the project And then they talked about their son and his deep fascination with the eagles in Big Bear, saying that every day, several times a day, he checks on the live camera in hopes of seeing Jackie or Shadow. She explained to him what was happening at this time in Big Bear and how it would possibly affect the eagles, and if approved, that they might leave the area. Her son asked how he could help and then decided to write a letter to you, the board members. So instead of going on my talking points, I'm going to read his letter to you. Hello, my name is Skylar. I'm 11 years old. I love bald eagles. It would break my heart if Jackie and Shadow were scared enough that they did not come back to their nest. These beautiful birds belong in nature, and they decided to make their nest in Big Bear. And so I think Big Bear should do anything and everything possible to save their nest. Developers can build anywhere else without destroying their home. And it will also be so awesome if they, the developers, could see what me and my family see, and it's that Jackie and Shadow belong here forever. Please listen, from Skylar. I did want to add just a little bit, based on the presentation earlier. Leaving a few perch trees on the shoreline and having a marina and a parking lot and cars and people running all over the place, those eagles are not going to perch in their favorite perch trees. I have seen them in those perch trees. I have taken pictures of them in those perch trees. I've been taking pictures of eagles up there for a while. I've seen at least 7 different ones that are ID'd and banded, in addition to Jackie and Shadow. They have all been taken on the North Shore. They don't go a whole lot of other places. They seem to stay on the North Shore because it's more quiet. What I have also noticed is this year, I haven't even been able to, I've seen some juvenile eagles, migratory eagles, but not Jackie and Shadow because of the crowds that the COVID quarantine has brought up there. It's extremely busy. The traffic is horrible. There's boats all over the lake, and I have not seen them one time in any of the places anywhere on the North Shore. So it's obvious to me that crowds and people are going to affect them. So that perch area, and I've also seen them hunting there, is going to be highly affected. They're not going to perch there. If you leave the perch trees, they're not going to use them, not with that many people around. I just ask you, please do the right thing for the public here in San Bernardino County,
That's time.
across the United States, the world, and for Skylar. Please deny this request.
Thank you for your comments, Peter Tennyson. Then next is Peter Joris.
Supervisors, thank you for your time. I have a house at 965 Deer Trail, which is not directly above and visible, but on the street behind where this property would go. I want to repeat what you've heard about the eagles. I'm not going to try to go into all of that. I will point out one thing. The impact report says that mitigation measures aren't available. There is one that the developer and your commission could have put into this, but they chose not to do so, and that's to eliminate the marina. The marina is a prime foraging area for these eagles right now. When you put docks and boats in it, as the previous speaker said, there's no point in leaving perch trees. When you put a parking lot under the perch trees, there's no point. More importantly, there's some other defects in this project. One of them is, as written up anyway, it allows wood-burning fireplace inserts and wood-burning stoves. The pictures you saw are a little misleading. They show a flat expanse looking out at the lake. The back of this project is almost vertical. My neighbors on Flicker Drive live on the edge of that cliff. If you allow wood-burning fireplaces and stoves in that area, they are going to suffer significant damage from particulate pollution. The chimney's right there, it's the cliff. Another problem with this project is it has 2 driveways on a very curvy section of the highway. Both of those driveways come out on what in effect are blind curves. The project could have been redeveloped to preserve more of the habitat and leave only one exit. This would have meant that the persons in these homes, if they were to be built, would have a little bit of inconvenience, but there would not be the more significant traffic hazard of 2 openings onto what's already a very dangerous road that it has fatalities within the last 2 years. I want to point out that the mitigation measures talked about for the eagles were tried across the lake in Eagle Point. And the mitigation measures proposed in this report include a homeowners association that is supposed to enforce the removal of perch trees and similar measures. The history of, to people who know it, is over in Eagle Point, the homeowners association decided to build a tennis court where a perch tree was. And as your previous speaker said, there are no more eagles on the south shore of the lake. Because of the fire danger, the traffic hazard, and the impact on endangered species, I ask you to deny this. If you don't do that, please send it back for significant revision.
Thank you for your comments, Peter Joris. And then Ms. Jane Hunt-Rubel.
Good afternoon. I'm Peter Joris. I live on Fox Lane in Arrow Bear Lake, and I'm here representing the Audubon Society. Literally thousands of bird admirers throughout the entire county. Birds, God's favorite creature. Here to defend our only nesting bald eagles, and to urge the supervisors not to sacrifice them to an unallowed development by deliberate and official statement of indifference. That is the statement of overriding consideration. It's going to be a conscious, deliberate choice to change the general plan to impact the eagles that everybody has so eloquently spoken about. More houses in the most fire-prone forest in the entire country. Changing the zoning to put more houses in that environment. I've been evacuated several times. I know what it's like. That's not smart. That should be on your conscience. A fire in a wind situation, which happens periodically over and over up in the mountains, could devastate the whole Big Bear area. I saw nothing in the general plan about the study that was done by the supervisors in 2012 on evacuation that identified no possibility of the entire population getting off the mountain at one time. There's only 3 outlets. That problem was totally insufficiently evaluated. That's infrastructure. There simply is not a substantial reason to override what is actually a detriment, huge detriment. And there's been a lot of fuss over the holding zone, but that's a distraction. It's been used to kind of create a sense of entitlement that doesn't really exist. The focus should be on the development code criteria for a zone change. 1, should be consistent with the general plan. It's not. You look at the Big Bear Valley plan, it says the environment should prevail. You should strictly follow the zoning. And it can't, the change should not be detrimental. This is a huge detriment. It's so detrimental you got to adopt a statement of overriding consideration to approve it. I mean, that's basically adopting a statement of overriding consideration to override your guidelines for the general plan, to override the development code.
Time.
I'm sorry, I
you,
really
sir.
oppose this project.
Thank you very much. Jane Hunt-Rubel.
I'm trying to keep calm about this. I didn't know this was going to be on the agenda because this is the first time I've heard about this. Anyway, this is very personal for me. I grew up in Big Bear back in the late 50s and early 60s, and that's where I grew my love for the environment. And at a time like this, it just really floors me. You know me, Josie, whatever happened to the environment element group, part of the vision statement, I don't know what's going on with that, because we're all connected. I'm really concerned about the valley area too. Like we've been fighting for 25 years, development in Lytle Cajon Wash, and that's still ongoing. So something like this, the mountains, we're all interconnected. We studied that at the environmental element group meetings. And everything affects what goes on up in the mountains, affects the wildlife corridors down here and our environment. So I really wish you guys this time and really disapprove of this project, because I lived in the south side of the place. I'm so upset right now. But anyway, I just wish you guys would, I really hate that environment. What's the point in doing an environmental impact report and CEQA when every project that's ever come before you, it's overriding considerations? And that has got to end, because people, especially in this time, I find solace in open space and the environment. That's the only thing that's kept me going these past few months, is knowing that I can go to the environment for solace. So please, please don't approve this project. Big Bear is already overcrowded. I don't even go up there anymore because it's disgusting. There's so many people living up there now. It's the most heavily populated national forest in the country. So please, I beg you, please do not approve this. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Madam Clerk, that's all the requests to speak I have at this point. Okay, so I'm going to close the public comment section of this. We're going to take a very short recess. How about we're back here at 2:20? Or, yeah, 2:20. It's 12 minutes away. We got to review some of the new stuff we were handed to. We've been all reading the emails, but I want to have the ability to read the ones we got during the session. We'll adjourn until 2:20 and be back and come back out.
Mr. Chair, can I just confirm the applicant will be able to give their presentation after the break?
If we need it,
Okay,
yes.
okay.
Madam Clerk, are we ready to go back on the record here? Okay, I want to thank you for the break. We're actually 1 minute past our time. I'm sorry. Heidi, you had a couple short presentations from the developer?
The developer does have a presentation, yes. And it's going to be Stephen Folks.
How do I make it go? Oh, there it is. Oh, okay. Okay. So we might as well just go to the next one. Right. Good afternoon. My name is Steve Folks. I am the Vice President of RCK Properties. I'm going to just briefly run through kind of the history of this project from its inception way back in the 60s to today. I will be very brief. And then I will turn it over to Dr. Krantz, who will address a lot of the environmental issues about the project. Just a little bit about me. I've lived in Big Bear almost all my life. My parents moved me there in 1955. And except for many years in college and graduate school, it's been my home almost since then. RCK Properties hasn't been there quite that long. They bought several large tracts of land in 1969. Most of those tracts have been developed. Moon Camp is one of the last, in fact, it is the last parcel in that. They've done Eagle Point Estates, China Gardens, a variety of other quality residential developments in the valley over the intervening years. So, turning our attention to Moon Camp specifically, it was part of the 1969 purchase. And it was purchased from Bear Valley Mutual Water Company, and it included 200 acres of lake fill rights, the right to fill lake bottom land to create new residential lakefront land. That was part of the transaction back then. So the initial project design at inception was this plan, and you can, there it is. These two large islands were going to be how the company planned to use some of that fill rights. This project had 62 lakefront lots. It was part of a lawsuit with the municipal water district, but it was never put before the county for approval. A lot happened in the early 70s that many of you probably are aware of. The Clean Water Act was adopted, California's Environmental Quality Act was adopted. It became clear that major dredge and fill projects were not likely going to be approved, even though the company had the right to do it with the owner. So in 1988, a revised plan was presented to the municipal water district. There was this plan that's in front of you now. It didn't involve nearly the level of dredge and fill. However, it did significantly modify the shoreline along this property to try to maximize the number of lakefront lots. This plan had 45 lakefront lots. An EIR was started on the plan, but it was determined that the county of San Bernardino would not grant grading permits unless a track map was associated with it. So the project was stopped so that the company could focus on a South Shore development, Eagle Point Estates. In 2001 was really the next time that this project came forward. Mr. Tim Wood, who was a prominent broker and real estate developer in the Big Bear Valley, partnered with RCK to develop the property. And this was Tim Wood's initial plan. He felt that the dredge and fill was complicating the project and was creating adverse impacts, and so he eliminated that. But this project had 92 lots, and 31 of them were lakefront lots. This project had a draft EIR prepared, and that EIR identified 5 areas where significant impacts could not be mitigated, among them bald eagles, rare plants, and water supply. It also identified an alternative project which would significantly reduce the impact. That's the project really that's before you today. It's been modified multiple times over the intervening years to adjust the habitat, to adjust the open space, to make it more compatible environmentally. This plan has no lakefront lots. So just to give you some tracking mechanism, tracking the lakefront lots, from the initial inception of 62, we went to 45 to 31, and this project before you has none. I was going to move on here, but some of the testimony here before you today is so inaccurate that I feel I need to address it before Mr. Krantz comes on. The statement was made that there are no bald eagles on the South Shore. I live in Eagle Point Estates on the South Shore. I have eagle perch trees in my backyard. I see Jackie and Shadow in those trees almost daily, or certainly on a regular basis. Last weekend, I was on the dock that's supposed to be so detrimental with my grandchildren, and one of them flew over us about 30 feet and up into one of the perch trees. While we were having lunch, it flew out of the perch tree and joined the other one as they were hunting and circling around Eagle Point Estates. They're there on a regular basis. So to say that they've abandoned the South Shore, this was not 2 years ago, this was last weekend, okay? And they're there almost every weekend, every day if you're out there looking for them. Anyway, I just felt I needed to add that in. This project, in our view, the preferred alternative, okay, protects the environment. Okay, we have lowered the density. Oh, I should also add that Eagle Point Estates has twice the density we're proposing here. The marina is twice the size that we're proposing here. And the eagles are there, okay? We feel that the project actually is an enhancement to the community. It's a very low density, and it will be an asset to the Big Bear Valley. Therefore, I want to thank you for your consideration and request that you approve this project. And I would like to have Dr. Krantz address a lot of the environmental issues. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Krantz, I'm sorry. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, honorable members of the Board of Supervisors. Let's see, how do I do this? Click the mouse button. The other mouse button.
Advance forward on that.
This one? Okay. Ta-da. Okay, thank you. So thank you very much for hearing me. I'll try to be as brief as I can. I lived in Big Bear from, well, I've actually dedicated 40 plus years of my professional life to the conservation of Big Bear's rare plants and bald eagles. I've testified countless times before this board, as a member of the County Planning Commission, before the City of Big Bear Lake, and as an expert witness representing San Bernardino Valley Audubon Society and the Center for Biological Diversity and other environmental groups on behalf of preserving the habitat in Big Bear for its unique flora and fauna. I'm the principal author, together with Tom McGill, of the long-term management plan that supplements the Moon Camp application. Unlike other developments in Big Bear Valley with sensitive resources, some of which I battled hard to set aside open space lots and conservation easements, those did not have the management plans or funds to conserve the resources. And some, such as Castle Glen Eagle Habitat Preserve, have now fallen into disrepair. The Moon Camp project, on the other hand, with its detailed habitat enhancement programs and non-wasting management fund, will serve as a model for how to do a project with sensitive resources for the benefit of all of us. There has been much press and interest in the bald eagle nest in Big Bear and possible impacts of this project on the nesting birds. I share that interest and greatly enjoy watching the live nest cam of Jackie and Shadow and the nestlings. I've watched it avidly for the last several years with my ornithology class at the University of Redlands. The fact of the matter is that the distance from the nest to this project has been misrepresented on social media as being less than a half of a mile. The fact is the nest is about a mile away, as you can see here in the center of the project, with much existing development in the Grout Bay and town of Fawnskin area in between. Let's see, is there a way that I can use, this is the little light, pardon? So so for a light or a pointer? That'd be for this? Oh, there it is. I can't really see it. That there is much existing development in Grout Bay and the town of Fawnskin in between the nest and this project site. Particularly the Captain John's Marina, the peninsula just south of the town of Fawnskin label there. Captain John's Marina is a very busy public marina, much closer to the nest site than this project. It was built long before Big Bear's bald eagles began to nest there in 2012, and yet they are undisturbed by that. The eagles are largely unperturbed by presence of humans. This nest in the San Gabriel Mountains is just 100 yards off of Highway 39, north of Azusa, where so many people were stopping to take pictures that the Highway Patrol had to implement traffic controls there. The environmental opposition's own bald eagle expert, Dr. Peter Bloom, is quoted in this Times article. Bald eagles are among the few raptors that are unafraid to dive head-on into humanity. Eventually, there will be eagle families at every reservoir in the state. That's the opposition's own eagle expert. Working together with the Forest Service biologist Michael Coffey and ornithologist Kimball Garrett, we developed the first eagle census systematic census methods in Big Bear of these bald eagles in the late 1970s, early 1980s. Since then, the Forest Service has run these annual bald eagle censuses, typically 3 or 4 times a year, until just this past December, when the Forest Service discontinued the eagle censuses with this notification, and I quote, "With the recovery of the bald eagle population, counting them isn't needed anymore from a scientific or management standpoint," end quote. The censuses showed that the bald eagles preferred South Shore perches more than North Shore perches, despite the fact that the South Shore is the developed portion of the city of Big Bear Lake and is much more heavily developed than the North Shore, which is largely undeveloped Forest Service land. Why do the eagles prefer the South Shore? Because they can't see the food on the dinner table from the North Shore perches. The glare factor is so extreme. You can see the glare here from a drone images taken from Moon Camp. The reason for the South Shore preference is that from Moon Camp, they can't see their prey of fish or waterfowl in the shallows because of the glare. Perch trees along the South Shore or east-facing perch trees, such as at Grout Bay, afford much better views over the dinner table. With their 7-foot wingspans, bald eagles can't just perch in any green pine tree. Rather, they select dead-top trees or trees with large windows, stout limbs that afford an unobstructed view over the foraging habitat on the lake. Such trees are typically more than a century old, with basal trunk diameters of about 3 feet or more in diameter. Herein lies the problem for Big Bear's bald eagles, in that with their typical South Shore perching habitat, these trees are removed faster than nature creates another century-old tree because they threaten to lose large limbs or fall on residential roads and houses. Moon Camp project resolves this problem by setting aside the entire lakefront portion of the property as permanent open space. There will be no facilities there, no permanent structures of any kind. There will be a dock that's entirely closed during the winter months. There will be no people walking along the shore. It will be fenced and exclude people where today they can walk there. It's unimpeded. My crew plotted every tree greater than 2.5 feet in diameter along the lakeshore property as a potential perch tree. This is one that could be topped or trimmed or limbed to create a more perchable perch tree for bald eagles within a direct line of sight to the dinner table on the lake. So we mapped all of these trees, and if we look at this map with the trees along the lake shore and within a direct line of sight to the foraging habitat, there are 60 some odd trees in this map area. The Moon Camp property is, the eagle use of this property is only for perching habitat and foraging habitat along the immediate lakefront. There will be absolutely no impact on the nesting bald eagles. They're a mile away, and they prefer the habitat in and around Grout Bay and to the south of them over open water where they can catch fish. So I will reiterate that there will be no impacts to the nest site itself or to the nesting bald eagles. The long-term management plan establishes a perch tree habitat enhancement program in which for every tree greater than 2.5 feet diameter, every tree on the entire project that must be removed for whatever reason, a fee will be collected to pay for an arborist to go to those perch trees along the lakefront lot and limb and trim them and make them better perch trees so that Jackie and Shadow can, in fact, use the property to a greater extent than they do now. These same perch tree habitat enhancement measures have been used successfully by the Forest Service on the property immediately below the nest site at Grout Bay, where thousands of cars pass every day directly underneath the perch trees with eagles overhead, probably unaware that the eagles are right there and without disturbing them. The Moon Camp property also contains rare plant habitat, including the threatened ashy gray Indian paintbrush pictured here, found only in the Big Bear area. The project proposes to conserve this rare plant habitat. 5.3 acres of the best quality habitat has been set aside as permanent protected open space. Some of this rare plant habitat does also include some of the primary perch trees that may be further enhanced for bald eagle use. In addition, a 10-acre, very high-quality rare plant preserve, including ashy gray paintbrush, and 2 other threatened rare plant species, and a suite of other rarities will be set aside and protected in perpetuity as part of the Moon Camp long-term management plan. Missing that slide. The Sugarloaf Pebble Plain, as this habitat is called, will become an important addition to the Moon Ridge Pebble Plains Ecological Reserve, protecting the best examples of this rare plant community in Big Bear Valley for everyone to enjoy in perpetuity. Thus, in my view, the Moon Camp project represents the culmination of 40-plus years of my own conservation work. Back in 1987, I, working together with an artist friend, developed this T-shirt honoring our Big Bear bald eagles in an organization that I formally incorporated, a conservation organization called Friends of Big Bear Valley Preserve. I've invested my life in trying to protect these birds, usually speaking against bad projects, but this is not the time for me to do that. And I've put all of my credibility on the line to come to you today and say that, in fact, the Moon Camp project exemplifies how to build a project correctly with these sensitive resources. Unlike the other projects in Big Bear Valley that may have set aside rare plant or bald eagle habitat, but without long-term management protections, the Moon Camp project does this right by establishing 9.2 acres of permanent protected open space under conservation easements, and with the addition of 10 acres of rare plant habitat off-site, all fully endowed with a non-wasting management fund. The people of Big Bear and the rest of Southern California will be able to enjoy these unique resources for many generations to come, including Jackie and Shadow and their offspring. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your presentation. We'll bring it back to the board for further discussion at this point. Ms. Rao.
Mr. Chair, I'd just like to disclose that I did meet with the developer to have an informational meeting on the project and to learn what Professor Krantz has just disclosed to us, but it will in no way sway me. I'm open-minded. Thank you.
Thank you. I do have one question that was brought up in public comments. I think you're fine, Heidi. It's just a technical question. They talked about wood-burning fireplaces. Is my impression that you can't build those anymore in California, so.
Okay.
I don't think we could build any more real wood-burning fireplaces anymore, correct, for new builds?
I believe so, and the Adam Panos from Fire is here if there are any other questions about fire, but that is correct.
No, thank you. I just want this misstatements there. Just want to clarify that because I was in this state assembly when that came through, and I don't necessarily agree with that ruling, but yes. Any other questions to staff at this time? If not, we'll bring it close to the public hearing. Bring it back for comments and or motions at this point.
I'll second it.
Okay, we got a motion and a second for all the items recommended by staff, 1 and 2 on item 84. Any more discussion? If not, we'll take a roll call vote.
Supervisor Livingood? Supervisor Rutherford?
Aye.
Supervisor Rao?
Yes.
Supervisor Hagman?
Aye.
Supervisor Gonzalez?
Aye.
Thank you.
Great, we'll move on to the last item of the day, item 85. I'll open the public hearing. Bunch of things. Heidi, you up again?